there's very clear post-debate movement now. And, maybe this is a transient bump and she comes back down.
Happened to Romney.
Yeah. But if you look at her graph is like up, up, up. Welcome to The Next Level. I'm JVL, here with my best friends Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark. Guys, we're down to 7 weeks left. Amy Walter came on to your show yesterday, Tim, and said it was a 50-50 race. The polls are starting to look kind of okay for Kamala Harris. I don't want to overstate things. And there's some other stuff bumping around in there, like the voter registration numbers, which, if you wanted to look for good signs, are good signs.
Yeah.
Tim, would you like to go first?
I have a surprising view. This is why I wanted to start with this. I have a view that might surprise people, if that's okay, from Rain Cloud Miller. I found myself with Amy yesterday keeping wanting to be, if you just listen to my questions, keeping wanting to be like, are you sure it's as much of a toss-up as you're saying? Isn't it looking a little better for Kamala? And I kept trying to nudge her, and she wouldn't go there. And I love Amy. She's a good analyst, and I trust her. And she's fine. The whole podcast is worth it just for her one anecdote, which I want to get Sarah's take on in a minute, about how college-educated Wisconsin whites went for Biden by 20. And Pennsylvania college-educated whites went for Biden by 8. And that explains why, because I was like, why is Wisconsin better than Pennsylvania when there are black people in Pennsylvania? Shouldn't Pennsylvania be better? And that was the answer. It's the college-educated whites. So I want to get into that with Sarah. So the whole podcast was worth it for that one factoid. But I'm more bullish than her. I kind of want maybe you or somebody to slap me. But it's one poll out of Pennsylvania, but she's up 3. In the Lehigh Valley and in Erie, she was up, doing more than Biden. Again, it's just one poll. Her fave unfaves are like she's above water, which is like almost unheard of in the last 10 years in our politics for somebody to be above water in fave unfave, because all of the other party hates you, and then some percentage of your party hates you. So it's very challenging to get above 50-50. So she's there. And I like the map is pretty good for her. And again, I'm not over here, counting my coconuts or anything. Like, I think it's a close race, but I just think it's a close race that she has a clear lead on. And Amy wouldn't give that to me yesterday, so I wanted to posit it here to see what you all thought.
Sarah.
Well, first of all, let me just do some Amy Walter content, because she is the best. Yeah. But she's also, those guys over at Cook, like they're a step up more serious than us about this. Like, they take their political, like, when there's a ratings change, it's like a market shift.
Yeah.
And so
it's not just a whim. It's not just like my feeling this morning. Tim's feeling good this morning, and
that's
so
right.
It's
that's like, we got a 3-point poll from Pennsylvania, and it, and there was another less well-regarded Pennsylvania poll though that had Trump up too. And so my point for Amy is that Amy's like, if like the Fed comes out and says they're bullish or bearish, like, it affects how people are spending money. It affects how, the market moves. Like, if they make a ratings change, everybody's like, oh, well, I guess we got to pull our money out of Montana.
The Fed isn't just looking at 1 week's of data and being like, okay, I guess we can shift our ratings now. I hear that. Yeah, no, it wasn't a criticism, Amy. It was just I meant more like, look, if I have somebody on who has expertise, I want to challenge them and stuff, but I'm not going to be like, oh, Amy, let me tell you another thing. I actually think it's bad. I was having a real conversation, but here, just among us pals, my reaction to it was, I feel more bullish than maybe it would have seemed on the podcast.
So can I underscore a couple of the things you said just on the polling? So one of the things that is remarkable about Harris having sort of a net favorable that's +2 is in contrast to Trump's net. He's a net unfavorable, which is like 9.9. It's like he's 10% unfavorable, which is actually pretty good for him. Like, right. He often has higher unfavorables than that. And so these are, it's not like he's at a low ebb and she's ahead of him. It's that he's actually at a higher ebb and she is still, 12 points up and being in, net positive. Here's the other thing about her net favorables that I think is really worth noting is that it's not like she's brand new and nobody had ever taken a unfave of her. She had a net negative unfave that I don't know if it was like minus 20
worse than
or
Biden's.
18. Yeah,
it was
terrible.
part of the, remember that Biden memo that he put out where they're like, he should stay in the race. It was only like 1 or 2 points worse than his, but it was 1 or 2 points worse.
And his net unfavorables were really bad. And so her ability she has actively turned the impressions around, which I think is, that's just like more notable than just coming on the scene and having a +2 net favorability. Like she has dug herself out of a hole, which means that people are moving in her direction. JVL, it sounds like you're going to say something to bring me down. So before you do that, I'm going to throw some more positive vibes in this, which is my favorite poll of all the polling. So she's had a really good polling week in general. I think one of the reasons, Tim, that you feel like, hey, why aren't we a little more bullish than that is that she's now like got an up 6 in the morning consult poll. She got some good PA stuff. Like there's been bumps all over, but this is the poll that I think was the best for her is in a state she is not going to win. The Ann Selzer poll. And if you don't know Ann Selzer, I did a focus group pod with her back in the day. Ends up not being sort of like a Frank Luntz or somebody who's super nationally well known because she only comes up every 4 years during the Iowa primaries, but she is the most precise pollster out there. Like if she gives you, and she gave people some bad news back in 20, like you 16. Knew. Yeah, and 16 and 20, like she's a bellwether for other things. And here's what she's a bellwether for. White people. White people. And so having movement in her poll that went from, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like
18-4. I literally think it was 18-4.
Kamala was down, or Biden was down. Biden was down 18. Kamala is now just down 4%. That level of movement, 14-point positive swing in the whitest of white states, if you can extrapolate white people from Iowa and sort of put them into Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Nebraska too, like that's the best poll she got in this whole thing. And so I think that's, Tim, why you're feeling good. And I think you have every reason to feel good. And if I haven't said this on this podcast yet, I'll say it. Although I suspect I have, maybe in response to your doomsday cloudiness before. I don't want Kamala to be up 8. As much as you're like, oh, well, that's good. Like, sure. Would it be nice to see the bottom fall out of Trump and everything else? I do think I'll never forget doing the focus groups after Trump won when I was trying to figure it out. The number of people who said they voted for Trump because they didn't think he'd win, because they were sure Hillary Clinton was going to win.
Yeah.
Or that they didn't vote as Democrats because they were sure Hillary Clinton was going to win and they didn't really like her. Like, there's a reason that the Harris campaign itself keeps being like, we're the underdogs, we're the underdogs. They do not for 1 second want their coalition to think they have it in the bag.
So I wasn't going to be a doom cloud. I was just going to ask a question. Why is it that Trump's favorable rating is at a high ebb right now? Like, he just had a very bad debate performance in which he looked out of it. He's been getting killed on his
pet eating.
Haitian people, like, eating cats and dogs and spring. Like, why is it? This worries me a little bit that his unfavorables are down and his favorables are up, because I can't see any reason why it would be that way.
So I'll tell you, this is what I suspect. So first of all, his fave on faves can be all over the place a little bit, but I'm taking the 538's average that has him down 10 and her up 2. That includes, Kentucky and all the southern states, all the places where Trump's favorability in the state is like at 80%.
But it's always like that. I just mean relative to everything else, because his unfavorability has typically gone down when he's out of the spotlight, right? So historically, his peak favorability ratings come when he's invisible.
Yeah.
And we're near a peak favorability rating, but he's highly visible, and he's highly visible for things that are not, or that we don't think should be good for his campaign. Tim.
I have three theories. One is partisan response. Like Republicans that don't really like him or in the primary didn't really like him, but their team players are now saying that they're favorable. So that helps on the margin. It's not a ton of people, but that's something. It's 1% or 2% of the. We always say the Nikki Haley voters contain multitudes. Right. They contain like partisan Republicans and like basically Democrats, right? Like, so those people. The assassination attempts maybe would be another potential. And the last one is I just his numbers with black voters are up a little bit, and that is persistent. It's not quite as high as it was during the really bad times with Biden, but. Like there is some segment that is, I think maybe it's inflation, oriented, working class type voters, men mostly that have kind of come around on it because of like fake 2019 nostalgia or whatever. I don't know. Like those are the three kind of working theories. The third one would be the most worrying.
Or maybe the immigration stuff is actually helping him.
Sure, there's 3 or 4.
That's what I mean. This was my leading question, was that I am worried that the Springfield story actually is a net positive for him. But we'll get to that in a minute or two. So of the last 21 national polls, Trump has only led in 4 of them. He's only led in 1 of the last 10. There's very clear post-debate movement now. And, maybe this is a transient bump. And she comes back down.
Happened to Romney.
Yeah. But if you look at her graph is like up. I mean, it's a pretty consistent trend up. She's just beginning to crack the 50% mark, right? Which is what you want to see to feel comfortable. I mean, not comfortable, but to think that she has a good chance to win, you want her to be polling above 50. And I wonder if she is in the process of closing the sale with voters. I guess I'm sort of thinking about this because of the Bret Stephens column, where he was like, here are the things that Kamala Harris has to do to close the sale with me. And I think that's a little bit silly, but also I think that it's probably a real thing happening with some voters who have been on the fence. Is this a crazy thing that she's just sort of slowly locking in tranches of voters as she goes here?
I don't think it's a crazy theory. And I'll say one of the ways in which I share Tim's bullishness is that these elections often get decided by late-breaking independents. And the late-breaking independent, like the way that they break, ends up kind of being the margin. And the people who are saying, well, she's still got to win me over, what they basically mean is, I'm going to take the next 7 weeks to make her focus on my shit because I'm the one she's got to win over. And like, I'm going to write self-important. Like, even this is where people get so mad at the undecided people because they sort of feel like there's an element of, look at me, come court me. But like, it's a pretty human instinct to say, okay, you need me. Like, what do I get in the deal? Tell me. But I think she is the thing that I'm hearing from swing voters that has me sort of kind of locking in on this particular theory that independents are going to break for her, is that they're all talking about what do they need to hear from her to get them there. There's none of that with Trump. Yeah. They're not like, well, if Trump just did this, I'd vote for him. They're like, no, I'm out on Trump. I'm waiting to find out if I can vote affirmatively for her.
Yeah, the other thing that I played for Amy, just on this point, real quick on the undecideds, because it was so funny. I was like, on my TikTok, there's this guy who's like doing door to door in North Carolina. And he was like, I want to tell you what happened at the doors. And he's like, I was knocking on people that were modeled undecided on the doors. And he's like, many of the people weren't undecided. But there were a couple of people I talked to that were like definitely undecided. So there were 3 people. It was a 70-year-old cranky former Republican man who was like, I can't vote for Trump, and I'm figuring out whether I can get for her. It was Bret Stephens. So the first door was Bret Stephens. Second door was like a 25-year-old bro who was for RFK and hasn't paid attention and is trying to figure it out. Third door was an immigrant who did not realize that they were eligible to vote, a legal immigrant, right? And I'm like, best case, I was like, Kamala's maybe 3-0 there. Best case scenario, Trump's best case scenario is 1-0-0, right? Like I just like I just thought those 3 people were so representative of the demos that are out there. It's like RVAT voters, young men, and like people that are in the Democratic coalition that just haven't been engaged for whatever. And Kamala's slowly getting them more and more engaged, and like that just presents so much more upside for her. It's not a guarantee. I'm not over here doing victory laps, but like to me that was, I just think that was a representative little subsample of kind of why the situation is positive for her.
So just going back to JVL's thing, though, about whether or not the Springfield stuff helps him.
Yeah.
I'll try and say why I think like that could be right, which is the number one thing is that it's about changing the conversation. Like at the point at which Springfield, there's some people were like, don't give Trump credit. He's not playing 4-dimensional chess, and I'm like, this isn't 4-dimensional chess. This is like, I got smoked in this debate. That's all anybody's talking about. Let's give him something else to talk about.
It's just chess.
Yeah, it's just chess, right? This is just him eating it's just checkers. It's like he's eating the pieces, right? He's like, we're just all pay attention to these other crazy. I hate Taylor Swift. Like they're distractions, and people are like, what's the political upside of Springfield? What's the political upside of Taylor Swift? And I'm like, it's less humiliating for Trump than he just got the shit kicked out of him in that debate, right? So that's I think that it isn't like a high level positive for him, but anytime he's not talking about the worst thing that has happened to him in the campaign, it is slightly better for him. But let me ask you guys a question. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. So, there's sort of a joke in our office whenever we're talking about, everybody's like, well, it's going to come down to turnout. It's all going to come down to turnout, which is, is like a true thing that you hear analysts say, especially sort of at the end. And it is both like, of 100% true, but also a little bit of like, yeah, we get it. It's going to come down to turnout. But there's a lot of other things underneath that. But so here's the thing, right? Trump strategy has always been bringing out a bunch of people who don't normally vote, call them low propensity voters. Many of them for Trump are like, they've never voted for anybody until they started voting for Trump. Like one of the reasons the parties have changed so much is it's not just a finite universe of people that are being traded. There is a trade going on, but there's also been wild new additions to the presidential landscape. And it's one of the reasons that the polling is like been kind of right, but also not able to capture the sheer volume. I mean, when Trump goes around being like, well, I got 68 million votes, and that's like the most any Republicans got. And you're like, yeah, but the Democrat got 7 million more than that. Joe Biden got 7 million more than that because the turnout was outrageous in 2020. Now, was that because of the pandemic and we all had so much extra, like they made it a lot easier to vote. Nobody had anything else to do but vote. We were all focused on the election because people were trapped in their houses. Is it because people felt enormously strongly about that election and so like, I do wonder, in this election, is there a world? So Kamala Harris has obviously put the Democratic coalition back together. But like, what is the level of turnout that she could get from people who might not otherwise have been engaged and now are? I think there's a fair amount of opportunity there for young people. But like, she seems to be much more focused on like, okay, we've got the enthusiasm. Donald Trump is a big enthusiasm driver. I've rebuilt enthusiasm for turning the page. And also I'm really locked in on the persuasion side, really locked in on people I know are going to vote. And I want them to vote for me in these swing states. Trump is like, forget these swing voters. I'm not trying to court them. I'm trying to figure out how do I jack up more turnout even than last time. Right. And bring these people
with one exception, young black men, basically.
Okay.
Would be that's like not your typical swing voter in your head, but like that would be the only swing voter group that I think he's talking to. But 100% agree with you.
I actually just think it's men. So part of if you look at black voters, if you look at Hispanic voters, like the slide is really like the movement to Trump is just men.
Right.
It's a little different between Hispanic and because black women are like firmly not there. Like they have moved to Kamala. Hispanic women it is less true of, but like more and more the story is about men moving toward Trump. But here's my question. How many more, is this a good strategy? How many more non-college sort of working class voters can Trump pick up and turn out in these states? Like, do we think he maxed out last time and it's going to backslide because actually there's a lot of people who are less like, I've been trying. One of the things I like about the focus groups is it allows you to gauge enthusiasm. And I would say, obviously, I'm looking at Dem enthusiasm, and it's gone way up. And that's just like easy to see. The enthusiasm for Trump is kind of like the same, but like the enthusiasm for him has always been pretty high. And in polling, she is starting to match or exceed his enthusiasm numbers. But I'm still not sure what that means in terms of, because of the pool of available people, there are more who haven't voted, who are sort of working class, low propensity voters who could be drawn out, than there are people who are definitely going to vote, but can be persuaded.
That's the thing that worries me the most. That's the pitch for Trump. That's the bull pitch for Trump, is that the pool is way larger of not paying attention young men than it is Brett Stevens. There are many more non-college, non-voting men than there are college-educated, swing voters who used to vote Republican or whatever. Like there just are. So that is worrisome. But also, like, they're not reliable for a reason, and it cuts both ways, right? Like Trump brought in some not reliable people last time that might not be motivated this time, right? Like, so you're adding some and subtracting. It's offsetting. That is the concern. And it's also helpful, just one last thing on this, Rogan, and like you can kind of sense like some of these influencers are a little less excited about Trump this time. Like Rogan was Portnoy, so that's an encouraging sign on that too.
He was talking up Kamala.
Yeah. The other encouraging sign is that Harris has her own offsetting chance to blow up with new voters, right? And this is again what we're seeing in voter registration numbers suggest that she is starting to activate some people who haven't been voters before. And so even if Trump does do his job here, it's possible that, she's going to bring in a whole bunch of low propensity new voters as well to offset some of those gains. So who knows? All right.
Women.
This show,
young women,
is sponsored by Rhone Apparel. There needs to be a more stylish, functional, business casual menswear that is both high quality and durable, that can withstand your day. That's where Rhone Apparel, with their versatile, durable, refined wardrobe, comes in. Men's closets were due for radical reinvention, and lucky for us, Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man. It's totally true. They have products for every occasion. We're talking about the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, blazers, t-shirts. If you're a guy who lives in t-shirts like I am, they make the best t-shirts. They look great as individual pieces and work seamlessly together. Rhone's signature 4-way stretch fabric is breathable, flexible, and works everywhere, from your commute to work to the 19th hole. It's time for an unparalleled confidence without all the hassle. Rhone's commuter collection features wrinkle release technology and is 100% machine washable. Looking good is that easy, and they're treated with Gold Fusion anti-odor technology for more wears between washes. If you're a savage. If you're not a savage, then like me, you wash your t-shirts after you wear them once. Just once. This is what you should do. You should wash your clothes after you wear them. I'm just saying. I love this stuff. I love their fabric. They call it the signature 4-way stretch. It's really comfortable. It's incredibly soft. It does sort of give you just the tiniest bit of stretch. You can ball it up and throw it into an overnight bag, and it comes out without any wrinkles in it. It breathes nicely. It's great fabric, great stuff. They are my go-to t-shirt. I love everything about them. I love the construction. I love the fit and finishing on them. Rhone t-shirts. Go get them. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to Rhone.com/thenextlevel and use promo code THENEXTLEVEL to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/thenextlevel and use code THENEXTLEVEL. It's time to find your corner office comfort.
Sebastian wonders how much money you're spending on detergent in your house. You have 19 children. You're washing clothes after one wear. I mean, like, your detergent budget must just be...
Isn't that what normal people do? Is they wash their clothes after they wear them, except for jeans. You're not supposed to wash jeans. Do you know what you're supposed to do with denim?
Never wash them.
Never
You're
wash
not
them. Do you know?
never supposed to wash
do you-
denim.
Never.
Almost never.
Never, Sarah. Do you know what you do with it instead?
You wash inside out.
You put it in the freezer.
Really?
Once or twice a year. Wash
Put it
them
in the
inside
freezer.
out. Or put it in the freezer. Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah.
What are
Oh,
you guys
Sarah,
talking
I
about?
know so much about denim. I went on a journey of discovery about denim a year ago, and that's another segment. That's another
This
segment.
is true, Sarah. This is true. What else we got to talk about?
I want to talk about Springfield. I know you guys weren't super excited about this. The Wall Street Journal has a big piece today. It's great, full of reporting. A couple standout pieces in it. The J.D. Vance campaign people actually did call Springfield the morning of the debate to ask the town government, these rumors they're true, right? And the government was like, no, they're not. And Trump just went on to national television in front of 60 million people and said them anyway. Cool. Another thing that happened is when pressed by the Journal to offer any evidence, J.D. Vance gave them the name of some woman who had supposedly said that her
police
cat
report.
had been taken by.
She filed a police report.
She filed a police report because her cat was missing.
And so the Wall Street Journal went and knocked on her door, and she said, "Oh no, Miss Sassy." That's her cat's name. Yeah, I found her 2 days after I lost her. She was just in my basement. And I went next door and apologized to those Haitian fellers.
Yeah, she was in a Trump shirt and hat when they went to her house. Also,
and they got a picture of this very nice lady in front of her Trump flag. I have so many questions, starting with the fact that the Republican mayor of Springfield and the Republican governor of Ohio are now basically pleading with the Republican presidential nominee to stop lying about them because they are causing great harm to the communities. They are diverting resources needed for security and whatnot to like protecting schools and such in Springfield. Has anybody asked Mike DeWine if he's voting for Trump? Or the mayor of Springfield if he's voting for Trump?
I think that they're voting for Trump, yeah.
I don't know about the mayor of Springfield, but I do think DeWine is. I do wish somebody would ask him again in light of this. I don't. Did he get asked in one of those interviews this weekend?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think he did, but I'm not sure.
It does seem like a germane question,
It does.
right? I mean, you believe that your nominee of your party is baselessly and knowingly lying and causing harm to your real harm to your constituents and to the economy of your state. And yet you're just going to be like, yeah, got to vote Team R. What is that? What is that?
He also had, I don't know if you saw this, he had a nonprofit in Haiti. So, like, in addition to, which
DeWine
is good.
did?
Yeah, DeWine is a decent human. Yeah. Was involved in a nonprofit in Haiti that had to be shut down after all the unrest. But so, like, he has personal skin in the game as well. In addition to them being his constituents, in addition to, wanting to have actual, policy solutions. I thought your insight on this, JV, on your newsletter, which I read, was good. And I want to talk about that because I haven't brought it up on the Daily Pod. And it's that, like, the whole conceit. It's about when these guys get on their high horse and start, like, spouting bullshit, the Trump and advancing these conspiracies. It's important to kind of break it all down point by point to really just kind of reveal how hollow each argument is. And the conceit that, like, this is a noble lie. This is a justified lie because it's gotten the media to focus on Springfield is one that J.D. Vance has put forth. And you posited a good question, which is like, why does it matter whether Dana Bash and Nicole Wallace are talking about this? Like, if they are, what would be the point of that, right? Like, is there an end game there? Like, is there something that you're trying to achieve with that? Because it's not helping the community, right? Like, CNN talking about this isn't doing anything to help the community. And certainly the community could be helped, whatever you think the right solution is, without CNN ever talking about it. I mean, this happens all the time in American life where there are problems in towns and they resolve the problems at the local level without
almost
the
no
national
problems
media
do get
talking
talked
about it.
about by the national media. They just get solved by the people
Right,
whose
exactly.
job it is to solve them.
And in this particular case, the people whose job it is to solve them is the Republican mayor, Republican governor, and Republican senator who brought up this lie. And so it's like, what does he want? Why does he want the media to talk about it? And I guess there are two potential answers to that. One is he wants to feel righteous. He wants to feel right. Like he wants to feel good. Like it's nice for the media to be like J.D. Vance has a point. So it could be like a self-actualization journey. Or the darker reason is he wants the media to talk about it because he wants there to be division and hate spewed because that helps them politically.
Because what he wants is not governmental solutions to the problems. He wants extra governmental solutions to the problems.
You know, the reason I didn't want to talk about this topic is that it makes me too angry.
Let's hear it.
And look, I got to say, I was on TV yesterday with, I think I was on Jim Acosta's show. So I was on CNN and I was on with Bakari, Sellers, and Essie Cup. And before we came on, they had a Haitian woman from the community, sort of a community leader, business owner, small business owner there in Springfield. And she had clearly written a lot of her remarks to try to articulate them. But by the time I got to the R section, I was like ready to fly out of my chair. And she's talking about how these kids, the little kids in the schools, keep asking her, like, why are they saying this about us? Like, why is this happening? Why are there all these bomb threats? Why can't we go to school? And you just think about these little kids in this community not understanding. There are 33 bomb threats, according to Mike DeWine. And these people online, you mentioned the 33 bomb threats, and they're like, how dare you spread misinformation? These are hoaxes. And I'm like, no.
That's what a bomb threat is.
That's what a bomb threat is. It's when somebody doesn't actually detonate the bomb, but they threaten it. And the purpose of the threat is to terrorize, is to disrupt their life. And, you know, Acosta asked this woman, like, well, what would you say to Donald Trump, you know, if you could? And she was sort of like, we're not eating the dogs or the cats. And like, why are you saying this about us? We just came here to work and like we follow the law. And she's doing it in her, you know, sort of broken English in this pleading way where she's clearly nervous. And I just was filled with the most rage. And like, then, you know, you've got to talk about the political violence, or you got to talk about the assassination attempt on Trump. And you've got to deal with these people on the right who are like, the rhetoric of the left is causing these attacks on Trump. While, like, and it's one of those moments when it's like, you know, if you'll stop lying about us, we'll stop telling the truth about you. Yeah. Because your lies are the thing fomenting, like, this specter of violence now that is all over the place. And for you to turn around and then saying a true thing about Donald Trump, that he is a threat to democracy, clearly just saying things that are objectively true. He did not engage in the peaceful transfer of power, that's incendiary rhetoric when they won't apologize or stop. They won't stop. Like, the people who have put these rumors on Facebook, or like the cat thing, like the woman who lost her cat in the basement, they're apologizing. Yeah. They're saying they're sorry for what they did, that it's become this thing. And Trump and J.D. Vance, you know what they're doing? They're just still going. It's all been disproven and they're just still going. It is psychotic.
It is psychotic.
Mike DeWine's statement after Vance was announced as the nominee. Quote, President Trump has made a great choice and Senator Vance will be a great partner as they campaign together this fall.
That was before this. That was before this.
It was. No,
but
I'm just saying.
Somebody should ask him. And the reason that it's frustrating is, like, I praised DeWine over the weekend because he did get out there and do the media rounds to be like, this isn't happening. So, like, he's pushing back.
DeWine did a great job on COVID, too. Like, DeWine has been a totally responsible Republican governor.
He is. But, like, at what point do you... well, I mean, I know he has to. He is sort of denouncing the act of it, but like he has to say this is like this makes them unfit. Like it's like I say every day. There's a new singularly disqualifying thing. If Kamala Harris was just terrorizing a town with a thing that wasn't true, it'd be over.
Mike DeWine's also 77, and like.
He's not running again. He doesn't have anything else.
It's over. It's all over. Just go out. It's over. It reminds me of the Boehner thing. The Boehner thing always pissed me off because I always liked John Boehner. But like he was like on the cusp of a big deal where he needed the Democrats to get the Democrats across. I forget if it was on immigration or on spending. I think the last one was on immigration. It was on one of them. And he just quit right before when the deal, like he could have broken the Hastert rule or whatever and cut they had enough votes in the Senate, they had enough votes in the House, Obama would have signed it, they could have done a deal, and Boehner just quit instead. And he was like, I'm going home because my caucus doesn't want this. And I was just like, go out in a blaze of glory, Mike DeWine. You're going out, it's over. It's over. Go out.
Boehner.
Just say it. Say you're for Kamala. We all know you are. Just say it. Like you sound
you're
more like
voting for
Kamala.
DeWine. We all know it.
Yeah, you sound like Kamala when you're talking. Just say it. No, the JD Vance. I have just two quick thoughts. One negative, one positive on what you just said, Sarah. The JD Vance being psychotic, I think, is an important thing to say. Like he is acting like a total sociopath. Like when you just watch his speeches, he has empty eyes. It's just like it's this whole thing about how David Frum is trying to kill Donald Trump. Like it is all just like it's preposterous lie piled upon preposterous lie. He knows they're not true. He's like he's come up, it's hurting people. It's not just hurting the Haitians, by the way. It's hurting the people that he purports to care about. Like this woman. Like this woman was fooled.
The economy in Springfield has recovered because of immigration.
Yeah, exactly.
Bradley Balco has a giant piece on this about how Springfield was actually in massive economic decline in the 2010s, and then you had mass migration and things are much, much better in Springfield.
Yeah, so it's economically beneficial, but also just in the case of this woman with Miss Sassy the cat, like she was humiliated by this. Like she's humiliated and has to apologize, and he did that. And it reminded me of the vaccine stuff that he did, the fake vaccine. It's like some people died because they went along with the just asking questions vaccine stuff. Like his people died because of that. So he doesn't care about the Haitians. He doesn't care about his own people. He doesn't care about the truth. Like and it's just like you went to Yale, like better than all this. It is just totally unhinged sociopathic behavior, and it is really like
it's on Twitter every day arguing with random people.
Yeah,
like
it's really tough to swallow.
It's a very strange.
It's loathsome.
There's something going on. I can't tell if there's more than meets the eye going on or less with JD.
I don't know. But he gets asked about the curry thing. Do you see this? He gets asked about Laura Luma curry tweet, and he's like, no matter what you eat, whether it's curry or fried chicken. Like there were two layers. On the one hand, I'm like, why did you pick fried chicken when you're talking about the other thing that go in the White House? But even if that was just an accident, like your child's name is Vivek. Like stop with this fucking fake shit. Stop with this fake shit. Like what do you think your kids are gonna think? Like when it's like, my dad's campaign was fear mongering that the White House might smell like curry if the other side wins. The White House will smell like curry if you win. You guys eat curry. Like what are you even talking about? The whole thing is just it's totally sociopathic. The only nice thing about this whole story is the one goodness of America that outshines the horribleness of Donald Trump and JD Vance is that while JD Vance is trying to blame whoever on the assassinations attempts, the attorney, the prosecutor that will be prosecuting this man, Ryan Routh, that tried to kill Trump, is the first Haitian American U.S. attorney born in Haiti.
I didn't know that.
Don't you know that? I love that.
That's very nice.
I love that. See? That's interesting. He's prosecuting the man that tried to kill Trump. He's not eating cats or not siding with him.
Can you tell me about the cat mommy woman, Miss Sassy's owner? Why is she still voting for Trump?
Well, she just not just.
So she knows that what she did was wrong enough that she had to go and apologize to the people next door for it, and she knows that the president and his nominee, the former president's nominee, are using her to propagate a lie that she's able to tell right from wrong from, right? I mean, she by apologizing for it, we now know that she understands that the lie was wrong and that it's not something she should do. And yet she's still, like, it's not like she's going to vote for him grudgingly because, like, well, you know, I mean, lesser of two evils. She's got the hat. She's got the T-shirt. She's got the flag. She is specifically impacted and has been made party to this thing that, again, she knows is bad because she herself had to apologize for it. But she's still wearing the regalia and flying the flag. Can you explain the psychology of that to me, Sarah?
I mean, yeah, it's unsatisfying, but I can explain it, which is...
I'm all ears.
Okay. So, first of all, you know, mass migration is actually, it's complicated for these local communities. So she does realize that what she did was wrong. And this is where they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats as a racist smear. There is a way to have a conversation. And this is where, like, when people are like, well, J.D. Vance is trying to have an intellectual conversation. It's like, no, he's not. He's saying they brought AIDS and they're eating the pets. And, like, here's this grainy video of a cat on a grill. Like, he's being a psychopath. Instead of saying, like, mass migration causes, like, it is economically saving this town, but, like, culturally, it's very complicated to integrate these communities. And my guess is that this woman grew up in this community and it looked one way, and that it looks very different to her now. And one of the things that I think the resentment politics that Trump, the grievance politics that Trump traffics in so aggressively sort of plays on the fact that whether you're in Erie, Pennsylvania, JBL and I talk about this a lot actually on the Secret Pod. If you drive through these places, and especially before the pandemic, I used to drive to a lot of them and do focus groups. You'd get there and you'd be like, oh, like this is just one hollowed out old factory building after another. There's one like dilapidated Burger King in the whole
Main
place.
streets
like,
are so sad.
You can practically see the tumbleweeds sort of just rolling down dusty streets that used to be vibrant. And the people in those communities have lost the industries that used to make them thrive. Their kids don't come back. There's no opportunity for their kids locally. They've been decimated over the years by opioids and then later by... help me
fentanyl.
Right now. Fentanyl.
The war. Globalization.
And so Trump comes in and lies to them, right? He tells them a lot of different lies. He tells them he'll bring the coal plants back. He tells them he'll get rid of the immigrants that have changed their communities, the way that they look, the religious structure. And like, I think that it is, you can be a good person and still like acknowledge that for these communities, it can be like discombobulating to adjust, right, to your community looking completely different, to have an influx of people who don't speak the language, who require different kinds of resources. And I think like that's a lot of what is going on, right? Like, so there is just a real conversation that one could have about how these communities figure out how to adjust to this. But instead of that, right? Instead of that, it is just fomenting hatred. And I think one of the things, like 50 years from now, these people who are newly there, who don't speak the language, they will speak the language. Their kids will be fully American, and it will be a story, just like the whole tapestry of the American story about people who came here to live and work. And it's always rough in these moments. And rather than see it as part of the bigger American story, people, you know, J.D. Vance, they try to inflame the part that's hard as everybody adjusts and turn it into people hating each other. Anyway, I think that's the psychology of what's going on.
Tim, did you have a dissenting view?
No. I mean, I think that's right. I mean, they're being lied to. They were caught up on this. And I don't know. I go back to the David Frum thing about lying, about how if you get caught up in a scam, you tell the person that, and you tell your friend, if your friend gets caught up in one of these, you know, scams where they buy some property and it ends up being dilapidated land in the swamp that is not livable, and they lost the money that they invested in it. And then you tell them that they got caught in this scam and they shouldn't put more money into the condo association. They get mad at you instead of the person that scams them. And I think it's that. They have legitimate grievances about their communities. They've been caught up in this scam, in this cult, whatever you want to call it. And, they have the jersey, they have the hat, they have the flag, and, being told that they've been lied to, probably only drives them further into Trump's arms, honestly.
I disagree
Human
that they have
weakness.
legitimate grievances. I mean, I'm sorry, but things are tough all over, right? Everybody has problems everywhere and always. And it has been like that for forever. It's not like there was some, golden era in which every community was always great. Anyway, we have another sponsor, Sarah.
This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. We all know home-cooked meals are so much better for you, but you don't always have time to pull it off. But with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Choose from a variety of menu options to suit all your needs and tastes, from fit and wholesome to quick and easy, or vegetarian to family friendly. There's something for everyone to enjoy. With summer in the rearview mirror and busier days ahead, now's the perfect time to save time and money when it comes to your dinner routine. Skip the meal planning and grocery store lines and cut down on food waste with HelloFresh's convenient doorstep delivery and pre-measured ingredients. And one of our sponsors, Green Chef, is now owned by HelloFresh. And with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. So now you can switch between the brands for even more options. Guys, I cannot cook. I am not a person who knows how to cook. But by
You can
getting
cook on the pod.
HelloFresh,
You can cook.
I can cook. Oh
Your
yeah,
takes.
I can. Well,
Your takes cook.
My takes cook. But I don't. But by being the person who brings the HelloFresh meals into the house, I get credit for doing something, because basically I've done 2/3 of the work. Right. That's what I've done.
I was going to say, HelloFresh is so easy. You don't even have to be somebody who cooks. You can, even if you are a terrible cook, you can make these things happen. They're not complicated recipes. They're very clear instructions.
Okay, well, I don't know how to work the oven. But
You do need to know how to turn the oven on in many cases.
Okay.
Sometimes even boil water.
Yeah. So I can boil water, but the oven flummoxes me, I gotta say. And in any event, though, but I do get credit for being the one to procure something that is almost completely done. Also, they can give you free breakfast for life, guys. For free breakfast for life, go to HelloFresh.com/free-the-next-level. One free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/free-the-next-level. Sign up with America's #1 meal kit today. You won't be sorry.
Free the next level. Free
All right.
the next
Free
level.
us. Free us.
We're not
It's all
going to
one
do
word.
We're
a
not
crazy
behind a
long
paywall.
show.
We're not.
We're not doing a crazy long show today. So you get one more topic. Are we going to talk about Nikki Haley's new show, or Elon Musk warning that the first thing a President Harris would do?
Let's talk about
the
Elon.
first
Let's just kindly welcome Nikki Haley to the audio content game. She's a competitor. We'll see how the ratings do compared to us. I don't think it'll probably be very good. I did like Sarah's tweet joke that Nikki Haley is going to have a debate show and she'll be the only one on the air. That was good.
Super underrated tweet.
All your best material doesn't get retweeted.
I
it's
know.
Just true. It's true for everybody.
I do think that her show should be called The Weather Vane.
That's good.
Yeah. I'll just tell you which way the wind's blowing. That's what Nikki Haley's going to do, is tell you which way the wind's blowing, and because that's the direction she's going.
Welcome to the game, Nikki.
So Elon yesterday retweeted a tweet from an account which most people believe is one of his burner accounts. So let's start with that.
That's healthy.
The burner account tweet is, if Kamala/Waltz win, their first move will be to ban X and arrest Elon Musk. Elon Musk, quote, retweets this with, yup. I would like to find... So Kamala Harris, we think, has a 50-50 chance, give or take, to win the presidency.
I think 58.
I would like to
I think
find
58% chance.
some place where I can bet every single thing I own that if she wins, the first thing she does will not be to simultaneously ban Twitter and arrest Elon Musk. Do you think anybody would give me that action? Do you think there's anybody in the world who'd be willing to come and take the other side of that bet? Because I'd like to bet everything on it.
Let's clip this. We'll put it on.
Get
I'd
Elon
like
to bet with you.
Yeah, we'll tag Elon. We'll tag some of his friends. I know some high risk gambling folks. They'll tag Corral Bob. Nate Silver should be able to help us with this. You know, he talks about the river. He knows all these high stakes gambling guys. There's got to be one person who'll take the other side of that action, especially if you give them some odds. You know, they think about it. They can.
Wait, why would I give them odds? They're the ones giving me odds. Because they have this thing which is absolutely going to happen, they say.
Okay, well, fine.
Like,
I'm just saying.
And as
maybe
the first thing.
Maybe to sweeten the pot. You know, you can give them the deed to your house in New Jersey. There's plenty of people that are looking for investment property in New Jersey, in Central Jersey. You know, your collection of jerseys. Speaking of Jersey, you have an extensive jersey collection and watches.
The watches, all of the watches.
Think about the value. I don't know. Give them kind of a 2-to-1 type thing.
You'd give them your kids too. You'd throw the kids in.
Don't include Flash in this. But think about this: you guys could have a Cape May beach house. You could have a Cape May beach house out of this deal if someone takes this action. The derangement is really something. Like that, these guys, like they have convinced themselves. I think that they have literally convinced themselves that free speech is at extreme threat by the left, I guess, because they get criticized on the internet. And they're so fragile and they dislike criticism so much that they've like bought into this broader narrative that there is like a Skynet coming, like a liberal Skynet, and that they are going to be silenced. And it's so strange because it comes at a time of like just abundance in speech. Total abundance. You can be a total lunatic and have huge audiences now. Elon owns his own platform. That's why this conspiracy has to include the platform getting shut down. Elon owns his own platform where he spreads insane, false, and racist and crazy stuff all the time, constantly, at all hours of the night, because he doesn't seem to sleep. Like there are competitors to him. There's a full Donald Trump Twitter competitor that even if Twitter did get shut down, they could go over to that one. She'd have to shut that down too. There are a couple Donald Trump competitors actually. There's Parler, and there's Truth, and the whole thing is just a total delusion that they have. And I think that they need it. They need that somehow deep inside them. They need it, right? They need to be in threat to rationalize, going along with all this. And I guess my last observation on this, I'm curious Sarah's take, is I noticed this the other day with Bill Ackman, who's another one of these types. Maybe Bill's a gambler. Maybe he'll take your bet on this. But he was tweeting about this, he's just, how stupid can you be? The original tweet in this case was by somebody named Black Insurrectionist. It was an anonymous Twitter account named Black Insurrectionist who tweeted a Word doc that he claimed that purports to be from an ABC whistleblower who told Kamala that the questions would be about the economy and abortion and immigration.
She never could have possibly prepared for that debate had she not known the questions ahead of time.
And he tweets this, and he's like, the SEC, he tweets the Southeastern Conference by accident, not the real SEC, but the SEC needs to shut down ABC or investigate and potentially shut down ABC over this. And he also the same guy that wanted the Harvard administrators and everybody to shut down the protests. And so it's simultaneously these guys have this delusion where their speech is being targeted while they are actively targeting other people's speech that they don't like. And I don't even have anything else to say about that, I guess. That's
Wikipedia tells me that Bill Ackman's net worth is $9 billion. So this conspiracy to get him has been working out great. The deep state has really punished him. And I don't know how he can even face the other Trace Commas guys with only 9 billion as opposed to 10 billion, because then he could say I'm the low double-digit billions as a billionaire. At the Trace Commas Club.
This is where I can feel compassion for the woman with her Trump shirt and her Trump flag who lives in a hollowed out community. I have no sympathy for these billionaires who are like, but the tax rate on this, and Tim's point is, this is a thing I have believed and say a lot about when you hear the like Pizzagate stuff or like the baby wearing the baby skin faces and the pedophilia. It's like, why does all this crazy stuff come up? Why do they create these insane conspiracy theories? And it's like, well, because if your guy is an insurrectionist, your guy didn't accept the election results, is a liar, a congenital liar, has no morality whatsoever, you got to find a way to say, well, Democrats are worse, right? And so, like, well, what's worse than like lying about everything and not accepting the results of election and causing people to attack the Capitol and trying to overturn it? Pedophilia, you know. And so, like, that's why they have to make up what Democrats are going to do. Elon has to make up the fact that they're going to put him in jail to justify his position. And it is not an accident that you see these types of tweets in the wake of something like the pets being eaten, like a big lie, right? Because they have to ramp up their justification in those moments. Mm-hmm. Also, Elon, before that tweet, he also had tweeted, why isn't anyone trying to assassinate Kamala Harris or Tim Walz? Which, you know, feels pretty wild to say from that massive account he has. And he's like, well, I was just joking. And it's funny because there's a million MAGA types out there right now policing every single one of us who is refusing to stop saying that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and who will not. And look, every single one of us will preface our comments by saying that political violence is unacceptable. Nobody should be trying to do this. I think it is terrible that people keep trying to assassinate Trump, but I'm also not going to lie or be gaslit or to use my good, the fact that I am a decent person who doesn't want violence to be visited upon anybody, to make that then silence me about what Donald Trump is doing or telling the truth about Donald Trump. I refuse. That's what they want to do. They want to police us into a place where they're like, you guys are ghouls. This guy just got an assassination attempt, and here you are saying that he's the one whose rhetoric is causing violence. And I'm saying, yes, it is his rhetoric that has created the environment that we are now living in. And calling him a threat to democracy is not fomenting violence. It is an objective truth. And Elon, though, goes ahead and makes a joke about why aren't they trying to assassinate Kamala and Walz? Nobody's policing that.
All right, Sarah, you took this in a much more high-minded direction.
Sorry, I'm out of.
No, it's you're. I'm sorry. I wanted to focus on something much more petty.
Oh, okay.
Which is, if Kamala Harris is elected, and her first act is not to simultaneously ban Twitter and arrest Elon Musk, which, by the way, to do, there would have to be a grand jury indictment. A grand jury would have to been impaneled. There would have to have been an investigation started. In order to start the investigation, there would have had to have been some form of allegations or probable cause to suggest criminal wrongdoing. It is not possible if the Department of Justice started on that today, they could not complete that by January 20th. Take that for what you will.
Yeah, no.
What I want is for every time Elon Musk sits down for an interview ever for the rest of his life, I want the first question from the journalist to be, so you had said that if Kamala Harris was elected, you were going to be arrested on the first day of her administration. You weren't. Why were you wrong about that?
Well, he takes the comedian's defense and all this. It's everything. My assassination thing was a joke. This was a joke. It's all a troll. It's all a game. You don't understand.
Mr. Musk, is anything you're going to say today to me a joke, or is it all serious? Like, what? How do you? In the same way that fucking Ted Cruz. Do you remember the Ted Cruz interview where he talked about how he guaranteed that if the week after the election, if Joe Biden won, COVID would just disappear and all of these restrictions would go away, and everybody, because that's what it was all just about, getting Joe Biden. And so, like, that didn't happen. And so I feel like for the rest of his life, that ought to be the first question to Ted Cruz. You guaranteed this thing would happen, this crazy, insane thing, and it didn't. So you were wrong about that. Why were you wrong about that? And why is it that we should think that anything you will say to me after this question won't also be wrong? I want people who are wrong to be shamed for eternity. That's what I want.
I don't think you're going to get that.
Yeah.
They're very wrong.
Why
We
isn't
can do it
there
on
a
this
permanent
podcast.
record?
We can
I
do it on
want this to go on their
podcast.
permanent record. People are wrong on the internet and they should be shamed for it, Timothy.
Very wrong. Dangerously, badly wrong. Stupidly wrong. They're dumb.
Good show.
And wrong.
Long show.
And liars. And psychopaths. Other than that, all good.
Hit like, hit subscribe, come to the channel, follow the feed, all that stuff. Hang in there, guys. Good luck,
Bye.
America.